everybody. Ella J here on behalf of Bell to Bells, and today I am joined by professional wrestler, streamer, vlogger, gamer, cosplayer, Vert Vixen. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, it's me and one of my babies,
Oh,
this one, Stella, and then the other ones are in here somewhere. So it's always a good day when I'm here home with my dog.
Stella rhymes with Ella. I like her
Yes,
already. So, I,
yes.
I mean, we'll just start off by talking about your dogs. I mean, honestly, that's probably the most important question of today. How are your dogs doing?
Fantastic. Absolutely great. This one has decided that she does not want to ever leave my side. So I think I need to get her like a little carrier,
Aw.
which is something I never thought that I would have being a big dog person all my life.
Yeah. Now,
So,
how
but this one,
how many dogs do you have in total right now?
three.
3. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. I've got two dachshunds, Stella and Freya, and then Thor, who is my corgi shepherd mix, who is laying by my feet right
Aw,
now.
that makes me so happy. Now, you said that you've been adjusting to a move, so how have your dogs been adjusting to your move and yourself, of course?
I mean, the move was crazy. I did it on no sleep after an
Mhm.
AEW trip, and I got myself so sick that I ended up with shingles, which I didn't know I could
Oh
get.
my
So
God.
you learn, right? But the dogs have been great. We moved into a bigger place, Adam and I, so like they love it.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, more space to run. And they have basically the office at night is like their own little room. So they have their own space.
Fair enough. Glad to see that they are well adjusting, and little Stella there, I think, is going to be the real star of this interview.
I
Just putting it
know.
out there.
I'm aware.
Oh, so cute though. What do you think that has been the funniest or maybe weirdest thing that one of your dogs has ever done?
Oh man, we have this little house. There's a lot of things, but there's this little like it's like a cat bed, right? But it's got
Mhm.
like a topper to it so they can
Yeah.
hide in it. And I got it for Freya because I knew that like she buries herself in pillows. And sure enough, she gets in there and then she like lies it over so that she gets herself stuck and then she runs around in it. So you just see like this bed just
Mhm.
traveling across the floor because she's just lying around in it and moving in it. And it's amazing. It's absolutely
Oh,
amazing.
I love
And recently, she shoved herself into a pillowcase. So I didn't know she could do that either. But I was making the bed. And I went to go move the pillow, and she was inside of it. So
You're like, this doesn't belong here. That's
yeah,
funny. Sometimes they're weird though. See, I have cats, and my cats love at least the one of them loves going like under blankets and stuff. So, and then they love like sitting in boxes. So it's just something about like maybe it is the curiosity, of the animals. That's so funny though. They're so weird sometimes, but I
I
love
know.
them.
Well,
Oh,
I know dachshunds are like burrowing animals, right? Because they would
oh
get what
okay.
weasels, I think it
Mm.
was. That's what they were bred for. So they just have that natural innate like
Mm.
Stella's the blanket barrier and Freya is the pillow barrier. She has to be buried under like a bunch of pillows.
Honestly, though, that's pretty much the life. Being buried under blankets or pillows, laying in bed, that's a good time.
It is
Can't blame them.
100%.
But coming off of now, we're kind of at the tail end of this pandemic. I feel like, how do you think you've managed to stay positive throughout this last year of craziness in the world? Because I know you are one who very much values self-care and mental health. So, how have you managed to stay positive? What's been getting you through it?
Man, I won't lie. I had a therapist I really liked who helped a lot. Like she was great until she left.
Mhm.
Another thing I learned that therapists can fire themselves. But so she was great for that time. And then just really staying on top of meditation. I recently just started doing yoga for my mental and physical because it's just, it's tiring. My body always hurts. So I'm like, I need to find another solution that I can constantly do. And the yoga's been helping a lot, especially with the mental state, because it's like, it's its own source of meditation, which I really enjoy. Um, I was journaling. I haven't been as good about that, but honestly, too, just getting out there, going out in general, just going out on little dates, even if there's nobody like going out, you know what I mean? Leaving the house. We went to like a little work picnic event last night and we just stayed longer and enjoyed our time together. And it was really, really, really nice. So just little things like that. And then, of course, staying active. Like when I'm not active in any way, that's when my mental health just takes a dump.
Mhm.
Like I have to be, if I'm not in the gym like 5 days a week, I think is my consistency right now. If I'm not in the gym 5 days a week, I get depressed. And so I have to go out and go for a walk or go for a run or do something.
Of course, too, especially somebody like you who is not only active in wrestling, but gaming, vlogging, streaming, cosplaying too, although not so much cosplaying because conventions and stuff have been closed down.
For
But
now.
yeah, for now, you have been very active throughout the last year, at least gaming. So I think that was a great, really gateway, though, for you. Obviously, during the downtimes of wrestling, you've been able to focus on your mental health, but also expand in the gaming world as well on Twitch and everything. Like,
Yeah, for
how
sure.
honestly, how beneficial do you think that has been for you to kind of now not now, but in the past focus more than on gaming and stuff? At least you had that to fall back on too.
I mean, look, I grew up on games and
Yeah.
like I love games and I need to just make the time to stream again at night because I miss just sitting down and
Mhm.
just playing a good game. Like during the pandemic, we played God of War, and that was one of those things that it was so nice to just sit there with Adam, and he and I just, you
Mhm.
watched me play, and you got to laugh at me die every time, and it was fun though, like it's fun to get on there. And then when I was streaming and playing stupid games like SpongeBob or playing, Remnant or any of those games, like it was just really great to be interactive with the community and to just have fun and rage a little bit on something other than life.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, like we said, this past year plus, really, I guess last 16 months has really been up and down. But one high for you was winning your first ever tag team champion as one half of the Sabotage Tag Team Champions now with Prince Adam. So, what was that moment like for you to capture your first ever tag team championship in professional wrestling?
Absolutely incredible. It's one of those things. Adam and I had our first match against each other at Lucha Brutal, which was hosted, or not Lucha Brutal. It was War of the Genders, which was
Mhm,
half Lucha Brutal, half Sabotage. So that was kind of like the first time that he and I really got to step in the ring together
mhm.
professionally. And then for us to go from that to tagging for Sabotage and then winning the belts, it was like um, it's incredible. There's nothing like working with your significant other in the ring. Like there's a special connection, a special bond. And for us to take the championships like that for Sabotage, which was one of my first independent wrestling companies
Mhm,
that I had seen in Texas,
mhm.
I'm like, I kind of feel like an imposter. I'm like, do I belong here? Like, is this where going from like watching all of these incredible men and women like from backstage when I first started to sitting there with freaking my best friend, holding the tag team championships together. Like I mean, not only my best friend, but like my trainer, like it's a different experience. It's one that I'm extremely grateful for, one that like I've looked back at the pictures and the video and like it makes me emotional to look at it because it's just like this is one step in my career, and hopefully soon it'll be he and I each holding NXT belts. You know what I mean? Like it's just one step towards the next step of our career, and
Couple goals.
it is
Hopefully.
100%.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and I mean, mind you, we have our own careers, but for
Mhm.
us to have those goals together as well is just like a whole other thing. So I'm just
Of
very
course,
grateful.
too. I'm curious too, do you find it ever difficult to separate the personal relationship and then your partnership in the ring, or does that sometimes coincide in the ring when you're tag teaming together?
We're both very professional,
Okay.
like we always go to do our job and to do our job to the best extent that we can. There's always going to be crossover, but never in a bad way.
Mhm.
It's always just that like that connection and that positive emotion I always feel come through when we're in the ring. So um, that's what I kind of say about that because it's not like we're always job first, professionalism first. We're always career first,
Mhm.
each other's success, our own individual successes first, and then us together. So it's never really affected anything in a bad way. It's always just been really good.
That's definitely a good thing too, especially you obviously are used to each other outside of the ring. You have that personal relationship, but now you get to work together even more now that you'll be defending these sabotage tag team championships down the line. So you're really gonna have to make it work, whether it was good or bad to begin with. So, so
Luckily, it's
yeah.
really great.
Yeah,
Luckily, it's really, really amazing, and it just continues to be more amazing. So
of course.
I think that if it wasn't, that might not have been something that I, we, I don't know what I'm saying, but it's really great. So I'm not worried about that at all.
Of course. Now, in a dream world, if you could defend your tag team championships against any team in wrestling today, who would you choose and why?
So that's really hard. That's And I'm gonna say this just because it's fresh on my mind, but there are other teams that I would love to face, but this is fresh because it just happened. Io Shirai and Lacey Ryan. Oh, well, no, excuse me, her name is now Zoe Stark.
Mhm.
Excuse me for that correction. And I yeah, like I've always Io Shirai is a dream opponent of
Mhm.
mine, and I've stepped in the ring once with Zoe Stark, and I would love to do that again, especially in a tag team situation. So just because that's fresh on my mind, that's who I'm gonna say. I'm sure there are others. If I could put like tag team together, I would. It'd most likely be some New Japan, but so yeah.
No, but what are your thoughts then? We'll talk about NXT. Recently, obviously, now we have new NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Now we have new NXT Tag Team Champions that just won them at the Great American Bash. Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, formerly known as Lacey Ryan. Again, that's a team that kind of doesn't have any history with each other, but Tegan Knox returned, which allowed Io and Zoe Stark to get the victory. So, what are your hopes then going forward? Seeing a team like this who really doesn't have any history, but they seem to work well together now go forward as champions.
I mean, I kind of want to see them dominate. I think
Mhm,
that they're both individually such incredible wrestlers.
mhm.
Like, and then to put the two of them together, I was like, this is genius because they both have different skill sets. You know what I mean? Like Io Shirai is much more of a flyer, but then Lacey, or than Zoe. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But Zoe, oh my God, she's so technical. She's so strong. Like she's so aggressive. Like I feel like the two of them combined is just such a perfect blend of styles, and I cannot wait to see what they do.
It's gonna be incredible now, especially as The Way is probably gonna be getting their rematch, but you also have Tegan Knox in the mix, and you have other tag teams coming up in NXT, so it's gonna be interesting where they go from here. Maybe it'll turn into a six-person tag match because you have Tegan now. I don't know what's gonna happen,
I
but
don't know, man. I do have to say a little side note with tag teams. I love Ember and Shotzi. So,
Mhm,
and being from Texas,
mhm.
like
Of
that,
course,
those are my
yeah.
girl.
Mhm.
So,
Always gotta root for your home, state girls, of
yeah,
course.
of course, of
Now,
course.
also in professional wrestling, talking about women's wrestling, you also have taken part in multiple all-women shows, including Mission Pro and most recently Rose Diamonds Are Forever show. So as somebody who is well immersed now into this environment, what are your thoughts on this emergence and steady rise of these all-women shows and promotions?
I mean, personally, I think it's great. I think it's another amazing platform. There's always been this stigma of what women's wrestling is, and I think that having these platforms, we're showing that women's wrestling is wrestling. Like it's we can do what the men can do. You know what I mean? And it's great to have just because these platforms haven't existed before to showcase all these women, because now more than ever there are so many incredible women out there that, and they just, I feel like new incredible women just keep popping up like every day. And so it's really great to have these shows feature these women and feature these matches, especially because I'm so used to going to an indie show and there's maybe one women's match on the show
Mhm.
and, 7 or 8 other men matches. And it's like, cool, I get it. But also, why isn't this 50-50? You know what I mean? Why isn't it? And it can't be an excuse if there's not enough women now, because there's enough
So
women for us
many.
to have our own shows. So it's just a really great platform for the independent scene to see all of these incredible women coming up, because there's so many women on the independents that are right there with the girls at NXT, or right there with the girls on ROH. And a lot of the girls on the ROH girls, the new tournament, those are
Mhm,
all indies. You know what I
mhm.
mean? That's where they come from. So it's just really, really great to see that this transition has been happening. This women's evolution has been happening, and that it's just continuing to evolve. Like I am so grateful to be a part of women's wrestling right now, because it is one of the best times to be a part of it, and it is one of the most incredible times that we're being taken more seriously as wrestlers, which I think is fantastic.
Like you said, yeah, there really is no excuse anymore. There is literally all women shows happening. So like you said, if it's not 50-50, like I don't know what promotions are doing. There is so many women's wrestlers just in Texas alone. And
Yeah.
again, you have like the West Coast, the East Coast, everywhere around the world, these women's divisions are growing and expanding. So there really is more room and stuff. Like you said, though, women's wrestling has definitely evolved so much, and it's so cool now to see these environments where you gals thrive. At least watching it, I feel so empowered just watching it, and there's just a bigger message to it, and so it's really cool to see it, and then to have you somebody like you be a part of it is so cool to see and watch and live in real time.
That means like the world to hear you say that, because that was one of the things when I first started was like I that's what I want to show people, like I want to help empower women. That was one of the things I felt like I was doing my own way with cosplay, with building all this armor and all that kind of stuff, was showing like, hey, women are just technically as badass as men are, right? And it's like I want to show that again here, that like this is, and there's been plenty of women that are showing it, but I to be a part of that is so amazing because um one of my favorite moments in cosplay, I was dressed as Wonder Woman, and this little girl came up to me, and she literally thought I was Wonder Woman, and she just had this look on her eyes, and she just stared at me, and she was like, "Thank you, and you're so amazing." And I'm like sitting there in cosplay, and I'm like, I haven't done anything for you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, oh, who am I to you? I haven't done anything for you. But because she had this strong woman influence growing up, like, who knows how that's going to stick with her? Hopefully she takes that small experience that she had and she uses that to say, like, I can be a strong woman growing up. I can look up to somebody like Wonder Woman or whoever else to be, this badass woman on my own and do whatever the hell I want.
Of course. And Bell to Bells is all about empowering and emboldening women's wrestling. So for you personally, I know Becky Lynch is a huge one for you, but is there any females in your personal or professional life who particularly empower or inspire you the most?
Oh God, honestly, there's a lot of women that I meet on a daily basis that inspire me, or just that like we inspire each other to keep growing and getting better. Like a lot of the girls I've worked with are just inspirations to me. Like I just worked high on, and she's an
Mhm.
inspiration. Even though Jasmine and I kind of came up to with each other, like she's an inspiration to me. Maddie's an inspiration to me. All of like every girl I work with, Insidious one, like they're all they all inspire me in different ways. And then, of course, you've got like the Zoe Starks, who I was, thank God, thank Mission for that opportunity, because like, that was a match that things felt different for me in a good way. And I wouldn't have had the experience without her. And I look up to her in the sense of like, I look at how she transformed herself and her career and how far that she's come. She literally got signed to NXT and is now being featured in like months. And that's insane to me. Like, she's proof to me that if you have talent, if you make yourself undeniable, and if you work hard, you can literally achieve anything you want. And it's not just about being, an attractive girl, because she is one, right? But because of her determination and her hard work and her complete transformation of herself and her in-ring work and making herself literally undeniable, I'm like, that's what I want. Like, I don't want to sit on my laurels. I don't want to rest on my laurels. I want to become undeniable in that ring. I want people to see me, and I want people one day to be like, Vert Vixen's one of the best in the world. Like, and I've got a long way to go till that, but like Zoe Stark in particular, seeing her has really, really done that for me. I don't even think she knows it, but you know what I mean? But just seeing her in her journey has really inspired me.
Yeah, like you said though, she came in this year, formerly known as Lacey Ryan, really coming in at the Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic tournament this year, and then competing in matches like Tony Storm, Saray, and now teaming with Io Shirai. Like, who else gets to have that track? And it's really maybe only been like 7 months since she was really first introduced on NXT television, not even. And
Yeah.
now she's already a champion. Like, that's already a journey in and of itself. And again, it's so empowering to see people have these opportunities and capitalizing. And like you said, it's really cool that we get to look up to these people, and you're still on your journey. And hopefully one day, I don't doubt it. I highly believe that you will have a similar track or path, as they call it. You're doing so much, and you should be so proud. And like, you're it's just the beginning for you. You're not done yet. You
No,
got so
yeah.
much you want to do.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's what I keep telling myself. It's all about and something that a friend told me recently is enjoy the journey, like take a moment to, when you're on those road trips, when you're working those shows, when you're in the locker room with all your friends, like you don't know when that's going to change. You don't know when you're not going to be there anymore.
Mhm.
Like you don't know if you're not going to be there because of injury, or if you're not going to be there because you're signed and you can no longer work those shows. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. And so it's so important to just be like, okay, let me just take all this in. Let me be grateful for everything I have here right now. And let me just enjoy this journey, because the learning and the, t- the tears, the stress, the happiness, the anger, the frustration, the excitement, the nerves, like, those are all things that, you know, wrestling brings. And being in the wrestling world, I have literally experienced, I think, a wider range of emotions and feelings and frustration with myself, and like, that I've ever experienced in anything in my life. And it really is like a once in a lifetime thing that I'm like, okay, I'm going to freaking do this. Like, I'm already here. I'm in the trenches, and I am going to enjoy while I'm sitting here covered in mud and it's raining on me in these goddamn trenches until I can pull myself out and hopefully get signed one day.
Of course, too. And you mentioned learning again. It's this journey, as you say, enjoying the journey, but you're also absorbing so many messages and lessons from so many people around you. So maybe it doesn't even have to be wrestling related, but somebody that you've met through wrestling. What do you think is one thing that you've learned, whether it's about life or wrestling itself, that has really stuck with you? Because I know you're huge on studying and learning and evolving and all of that.
Um, I mean, we've talked about Adam, and I have to bring Adam up again because he's been with me in this journey the whole time.
Hmm.
Like, he's been there with me in this journey, and I'm so grateful for that, because um, I am a stronger person because of wrestling and because of him. And I say that because um, this is going to sound crazy. I've always been I'm quiet and to myself until I need to turn myself on, right? Like, that's how I've always been. I will keep to myself, don't talk to me, don't interact with me, like, until I have to turn it on. Like, that's how it would be at conventions. I literally would just be like, okay, I have to go into interaction mode,
Hmm.
because I'm an introvert. I've never been somebody to deal with conflict. I've never been somebody who has confrontations. Like, I've never
I
been that person.
hate that.
Yeah, never. Well, one of the things that, Adam has taught me is, and wrestling, I mean, really within wrestling, is how to stand up for myself. And that sounds so crazy because I should know that by now,
Yeah.
right? But like, in the world we live in and how I was raised, I was very fortunate that I never really had to deal with anything crazy in my life or any crazy confrontations. And if I did, a lot of the times I would hide from it. I would literally just go hide. And now I don't. Now it's like, okay, this is what's going on. This is what I have to deal with. And he is a huge advocate for me on that, because he's always believed in me, and he's always believed in my strength, and he's always known it's there. And he constantly tells me, like, you're not weak. Like, you're not weak. You can do this. Like, don't be weak. Like, go deal with this and stand up for yourself. And it's changed me in such a positive way, because now I am a stronger person and I can deal and handle with a lot more, a lot easier. And honestly, in wrestling, you have to stand up for yourself, because if you don't, like, it's a mountain. We're all climbing the mountain. We're
Mhm.
all climbing the mountain. We're all next to each other climbing the mountain. And there's no reason that the person next to you can't just be like, oh, let me just push you down a little further, and it's just the reality of things, right? Like, you can either help somebody up or you can push somebody down. And sometimes people push you down, and you need to be able to be like, no, like, I'm going to keep climbing and push through this and really stand up for yourself. So um, I'm very grateful for him for many reasons. But that's one of them, is because he has literally made me a stronger human being. So, yeah.
That's so powerful, especially for somebody like me, like I was saying, like confrontation, all of that. Again, like you would think that, yeah, it's built into us, but like actually putting that into action is something I've always struggled with too, as well. But to hear that is just like really motivating. And too, especially in not only professional wrestling, but in life as well. I feel like sometimes we get caught in our own heads, or we're like, how do we, speak up without trying to walk on eggshells, or cause tension or whatever. But that's so important to, again, that you have somebody like Adam, whether in anybody really in general, that you have that support system and stuff like that too, especially in this crazy wild business known as professional wrestling.
It is a crazy wild business, but like you were saying, it's a lesson that can be carried
Mhm,
over in life. And wrestling in general has
mhm,
made me a better person in my life. Like that's just the reality of it,
mhm,
because wrestling changes you, and it's either going to change you one way or the other, you know. So I'm very grateful that right now all of the changes that wrestling has helped me with has been
mhm.
positive. It's definitely like I'm in like the best shape of my life, you know. Like even I've had to, wrestling has forced me to take care of myself mentally, so like I'm in a really good mental state, you know. But it's just um yeah, wrestling is beautiful. It's just this, it's beautiful. It can be horrible, but it's really beautiful at the end of the day. Like
It's
if
a
you look
roller
at,
coaster,
it's a
yeah.
roller coaster. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now, before you mentioned though that you were an introvert, much like myself, but you are also one who loves being on camera, and I've heard you say that, so I'm
I
quoting
do.
you right now.
I do.
So, do you have any advice or tips for people who are maybe a little more hesitant or camera shy that are maybe looking to do more on-screen work?
A camera is not a person. So like it
Okay, fair.
this is gonna
Fair.
sound really weird, but I don't know why this is, but in my brain I can stare at a camera and say anything, do anything. It doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
Like I get nervous in front of people, you know, like when there's a crowd there, there's always that nerves. Luckily with wrestling, I always get the nerves before the match.
Mhm.
Always, always, always. But as soon as I'm out there and I feel the crowd, now it's different. Now I'm vibing with the crowd, but it's because I've been doing it for I mean, really not that long, like a year and a half, I think, at this point. But even then, being out and doing all of these matches and stuff in front of the crowd, it feels different. But for a long time, being in front of people just made me super nervous. So when I did back in the day, when I was little Allie, I did acting classes because living next to LA, my mom
Mhm.
was like, "Hey, we're gonna go try to get you famous at a young
Mhm.
age," which thank God that didn't happen. But so I took acting classes, and I don't my mom said that always from a young age that I was a camera whore, is what she would call me. Like I would just love being in front of the camera. I love taking pictures. I loved talking to the camera. I love singing in front of the camera. And I guess my best advice is literally that a camera is not a person. And you can say, this is so crazy. It's kind of like wearing a mask, you know what I mean? Or being like, I can't believe I'm comparing it to this. It's like the trolls on the internet that feel like they're comfortable enough to say whatever the hell they want because that person's not in front of them.
Mhm.
It's kind of like the same thing with a camera. Like, even though you and I are talking right now, I'm talking to the, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's
Mhm.
different because you're not sitting here in front of me. So it's like get comfortable and feel comfortable enough within yourself to trust yourself that you can say what you need to say to the camera. And then you can build up from there of like, okay, well now I like put up your phone, right? Record
Yeah.
yourself, put up a little camera on your webcam, record yourself doing stuff, get all your stupidity out, because it's like honestly, the more yourself you are, the more stupid you are, the more fun you have, like the more comfortable you are, like the better it's always going to be. So just, yeah, it's not a person. I don't know how else to describe it.
Now, do you have that same mentality then in those moments that you have to maybe cut promos in the middle of the ring? Barring, obviously there hasn't been crowds and stuff, but even with and without crowds, do you find yourself having that same mentality, like promo wise too?
Um, no, it's different for me.
Okay.
If there's people out there, it is different. But I tell myself, one thing I have been telling myself before I go out there, especially if I have to cut a promo, is the people are here to see me. And that's like I don't mean that in like a narcissistic way. I mean that in a like I'm hyping myself up way, because they paid money to come see you, right? Like it doesn't matter if they're technically there for their brother or their friend or whoever else it is. Like they have paid money to see you because you're part of the performance. So when I go out there, I say like I'm a badass. I belong here. This is what I'm meant to do, and they paid money to see me. They paid money to see me, and I am the baddest bitch that's out in this ring right
Hmm.
now. So it doesn't matter what happens. I'm just going to be that badass. Like that's just what I tell myself over and over. And honestly, now when I go out there, if I have that confidence, the promo always comes off better. The crowd always reacts better. Um, and if I go out there kind of like not giving a fuck, like I know you're gonna, sorry, I curse a lot, but if
No,
I
no,
go
you're
out there
good.
like not caring, I mean, caring about the promo, but not caring that like I'm nervous or that the people are gonna judge me
Mhm.
basically, right? Like, because who are you to judge? You're not in the ring. That's
Yeah.
the other thing I tell myself is you're not the one in the ring right now, like risking their life or,
Mhm.
doing this. So who are
Mhm.
you to judge me? Um, I just have fun, man. I just if that confidence is there and if I can let myself go, then I don't care. And then everything just comes off how it feels like it needs to come off. If I stumble over a word, I keep going. If I say something wrong, I'll say something else. I'll make a joke about it. Like you can make a joke about screwing up and they'll laugh with you instead of at you. It's just like uh telling yourself the most important thing is that they are there to see you, to go back full circle. Everybody, they pay money, they paid money for you. You know.
That's right, they did, and that's something to remember, they're there for you. You
Yep.
have that moment in the ring and you're gonna seize the opportunity, of
Yep.
course. Now, lastly, obviously, we have established that you have also dabbled into cosplay and you have your own amazing ring gear yourself. But outside of yourself, who do you think has the best ring gear game or aesthetic in professional wrestling today?
Ooh, all right. So I have to say Sasha Banks because when I first started and I was looking at gear, I kept looking back at hers because I was like,
Mhm.
man, I love her gear. I know her husband makes it, but like the straps and the way it fits her always so well, the different colors, like it's just there's something so special about her gear in particular, and it feels Sasha. Like there's nothing else to describe it. Like it's Sasha Banks, and that's what you want, no matter what color it is or if it's a little different. Like it's always
Mhm.
Sasha, and I feel like that is like the most important thing with somebody's gear is that no matter what color it is or if something's a little different, that it still feels like them. And my gear, the woman that makes my gear, Tanya Martin or Tanya Dunbar, she goes by Mystic Gear. And so she's helping me make cosplay sets, right? Because I want to have more cosplay
Mhm.
sets. So this last one, Kratos, I said it's important that it's the same design, it's the same cut and everything as
Mhm.
my gear, just as Kratos. And that's what I'm trying to get her to do with all of my future gear too, so that it always reads, this is my gear. It's just based off of this
Mhm.
character now, so that it's that same idea of it's clear that this belongs to you. If that
Now,
makes
do you have any hints as to who you're eyeing or envisioning for some future gear?
we have like 4 designs that she's working on right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one from an anime that's like one of my favorites growing up. It may or may not be Sailor Moon related. I
I
know.
love oh my god, okay, now I'm really excited.
I'm really excited about that one too, especially because it's so different
Mhm.
from my other stuff. There's two video game designs she's working on, and then a comic book one, 2 comic book ones.
Mhm.
So I guess that's more than, yeah. But so she's designing them all for me right now, and then we're gonna decide which one that we actually want to make next. But
I love that.
I know, me too. I'm so excited because I love that I can start mixing in the cosplay stuff, and I really want to. In one of the sets she's making, it's a well, 3 of the sets she's making are cosplays that I've done. So on one of them, I'm gonna take elements of my cosplay that I had and like wear them out as entrance gear, and then take it off so that I can still wrestle because
Mhm.
can't wrestle in shoulder armor. But
No, no, I don't think that would work too well, it might damage it, yeah.
yes, it would. It would
Yeah.
very much damage it,
Mhm.
and then I would be very sad.
That's so exciting though that you kind of get to bring this to life. You get to mix together, you said your cosplay world and professional wrestling. So that's so cool that you have so many ideas lined up and I can't wait to see what they turn out to be. It's going to be so exciting.
Me too. It's one of those things where it's like until it's in my hand, I'm
Mhm.
like, you know.
Yeah. Like you said though, enjoy the journey, enjoy the wait because once you have that moment, you're going to be like, "Oh my, well, at least I would assume, oh my god, it's actually here. It's arrived." You
It's
know?
arrived. Yeah, for sure.
Now, before I let you go, can you please tell the listeners where they can find you on all your social medias and projects?
Yeah, of course. So you can find me on Instagram.com/Vert Vixen, Twitter.com/Vert Vixen, or just at Vert Vixen, because I'm too old to actually say that. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Vert Vixen. And then I do have a YouTube channel as well. I believe it's under Vert Vixen Studios because it's when I was actually making armor and
Mm.
stuff like that. And yeah, I've got a link tree that's got all of my links on it. I've got a big cartel up. I do have one shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees right now. I'm working on getting my other one up there because I'm just going to put all my shirts on there for now. And I think that's everything. I think.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today again, Vert. It's been a huge pleasure as always. And Stella, it's been a pleasure meeting you as well.
She's so tired. She's like, I'm done. Why are you picking me up?
Aw. Got some
But yeah,
dog content for today for you two guys. Thank you so much for joining me today again, Vert.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And don't forget to follow myself at It's Ella J on Twitter and Bell to Bells for more exclusive interviews. This is Ella J, Vert Vixen, and the lovely Stella signing off for you today.
Bye.